Hi everyone, this is Nikki Rowland and today I have a mini book or a mini album to share with you using the October kits. I've also used a number of cut files and basically I'm going to set about making an accordion style mini book. So I've cut two pumpkins for the front and the back. I've cut an orange one solid and then I've cut the overlay in the mustard coloured cardstock. I have cut a piece of the pattern paper you can see there, three panels, and it's scored in two places, so I have a front and a back and a base, and then I've got these concertina pieces that are for the sides. So this is a really easy mini book to make. You can see how quickly I'm putting it together. I know I have spent a bit of time doing some prep work before I started, but they are literally three strips of paper. The two side ones are concertinaed at 1/2 inch intervals, and then I'm just putting little dividers in the middle between each one of those concertinas. Now I'm just attaching this with tape at the moment. My adhesive isn't great. It's pretty repositionable, even though it's not officially, but it's definitely not strong enough to hold something together like this. So what I do off camera and later after I've completed the album is to actually add some hand stitching to those little folder divider type things, and that is going to make sure that they stay in place and not come apart at a later date. So I would normally like to machine stitch my albums, but the design of this one is just impossible. I should also mention here that I have taken inspiration from Paige Evans' Accordion box cut file that's available on the Silhouette store, but because this is an assignment for Hip Kit Club, I wouldn't normally use a cut file by someone else other than Hip Kit. Plus I have adapted the design a little bit to suit what I want to do. I wanted to put pumpkins on the front and the back. Paige's cut file is awesome. It kind of the sides and the base are all one piece. Is very clever, whereas my piece I've done like a wraparound for the front and the back and the base, and then just had the concertina sides two separate pieces. So if you have a Silhouette and you have access to the Silhouette store and cut files, then you can grab Paige's cut file there. Otherwise, if you don't have a Silhouette, you can still actually make this box without a cut file, just by following the method that I just used there with the separate pieces and the score lines. It was extremely easy to put together. So obviously I have cut the pumpkins for the front and the back using my Silhouette as well, and they are exclusive Hip Kit Club cut files. So basically it's the really pretty pumpkin there you can see, and then I just cut an outline only, so I had something to mount my pretty floral cut file onto there. So I did it in two different colours. So I've got the yellow as the pretty bits, and the orange as my base. So then I have two of those, and I've mirrored them, so I've got so they're the right way round when they're on the front and the back, and literally just going to stick those on with double-sided tape. And that is my box pretty much complete. You know, it's such an easy box to make. The little dividers were I just measured them and cut them to size, and then I used my circle punch to snip a little bit, like a little bit at the top out of, so that I had like a little tab there. You know, from a functionality perspective, I don't really need that, but it looks pretty, right? So there you go. That is my my box complete. I'm just making sure that my box sits nicely inside the pumpkin cut files there. So I've just positioned it in place, drawn around it with a pencil, and then stuck it in place. I'm just using regular tape to stick those there. I was a bit worried that my box inside the two pumpkins would be floating up a little bit, but it isn't. It absolutely touches the ground, so no problem there. Okay, so that is my box complete. So now I'm going to go through and I'm going to make lots of little cards and interesting things to go inside my box. So I actually had to make a list of what I was going to do, because otherwise I'm just here, there and everywhere when I make mini albums. I'm like, I want this idea and this idea, and I want to use this idea and this idea, and then I end up going and not knowing what to do next. So I had to make myself a list of, I've got 8 slots in this mini book, so I had to make a list of 8 different things I was planning to do. So this one that I'm making right now is an envelope, and you can see it's just a origami folded envelope, and then I've taken a piece of acetate and created a shaker pocket at the top part of the envelope. So this envelope will not close because the sequins are in the way, and I've just done that with my sewing machine, acetate, and I've added some sequins from my stash. You could add anything in there, like wood veneer pieces or anything really, but sequins obviously are ideal, so I've added those. I'm just closing up the stitching there. Later on, I do, you might have noticed, those eagle-eyed of you, that the sequins go all the way down to the middle of the envelope. However, when I had my, I put something inside the envelope, and when I had that in place, you then couldn't see the sequins, they'd all drop down to the middle. So I actually put another line of stitching onto that envelope so that my sequins stayed in the top section. Here is another envelope that I'm making. It's just made out of 4 circles. So I have die cut 4 circles. You could do that on a silhouette, but I've just used some metal dies and my Big Shot to cut 4 circles from pattern papers from the October kits. And I've gone for blues on this one, and I've folded each one in half and then stuck them together, as you can see there, and that gives me a really super duper cute little envelope that all just tucks in on itself and closes in that way. So there you can see it there. How cute is that? Obviously that needs some more work. This process video just shows you the basics of making the album itself and putting all the cards together for the inside. It doesn't show it being decorated or any embellishments being added or photos being added. That I do all off camera, because otherwise this process video would have been about 3 hours long and I didn't want to bore you all to tears. This just shows you the bare bones of the album, and then I will show you a flip through at the end of my completed album with photos as well. So now I'm making a little tag mini book, like a mini book within a mini book to go in here. So I absolutely loved Simple Stories paper this month with the tags all over it, and I have cut out a few, stitched around the edges of each one because obviously that makes it really even prettier, and then I'm going to add my photos and bind them with a book ring. So I have used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tags and a book ring, and then I've also added some little tags as well. So from the ephemera, there's a pink one with a fox on, I've added that one into there, and then there's another piece of ephemera, I believe that's a little banner style tab. It's got mustard coloured pattern paper at the top, so I've added that one in too, just punched a hole and added that in. And there's another tag as well, also ephemera, that's green, so I've added that one in as well. So I've got a few extra little tags in there, and that's all bound by a book ring. I've also added a bead and a tiny little tassel to that book ring as well, which you'll see in a bit. I've now moved on to another card that's going to go inside the mini album. This is kind of like a waterfall pocket. So I was really inspired by that journaling card you can see there that had all the ombre effects on. So I've cut it up into its strips, and then I'm sticking it back together to create a pocket that has multiple pockets. Does that make sense? I decided I didn't need the white bit. I'm just going to stick with the My Lovely Autumn part for the front, and then I'm literally just going to add stitching down the 2 sides and the bottom as well, and that gives me a pocket that I can put multiple things in. So I've got multiple pockets in one pocket. Does that make sense? So I'm just sticking it in place roughly with some tape, not sticking the bottom edges of any of those pieces except this white one, and that is where the pocket is bound at the bottom. That's the only place. The other ones potentially would go all the way through to the bottom, so if I had something short I could lose it down the bottom of the pocket, but it's tight enough that actually it's fine. So I've added some I'm going to add some machine stitching to the sides of that. Should be able to see it there. There we are. So that's another card for the inside of this done. Here is another one. I'm going to use an exclusive cut file for this, so it's the one that says Grateful. Now I was really nervous about cutting this one tiny, and it is quite tiny. It's like 4 inches wide, so it is pretty small, and very detailed. So I did actually simplify it on my Silhouette software before I cut it. I took out the middles of some of the flowers where they were really super duper tiny details, and I'm glad I did that because my machine probably wouldn't have coped with it on such a tiny level. But also those little extra tiny details may not have cut, they might be just too small to actually cut out. They might not have ended up being pieces, they might just have been like dashes. So I did actually simplify that beforehand, and I've cut an outline as well in pink. So I'm just sticking the yellow cardstock cut file to the pink outline cut file, and that gives me a lovely little card to use. And I don't know if I'm going to do anything interactive on this one at this point. Just going to have the pretty card for the front and then possibly a photo on the back, but I'm just adding back in now the little dots that go inside the G's for the front, the grateful. The middle sections there just needed to be added back in, so I've just done that there, stuck those in place. So that's another card complete. Now I'm moving on to this little card here. So I've got autumn cut, the autumn cut file cut out of craft cardstock. Again, it's cut super tiny to fit inside these pockets. I've got the autumn cut file cut in craft, like I said, and then I'm sticking it onto the orange pattern paper that I actually made the mini album from, and you can see it there. It's not showing up too well. At this point I haven't got any other parts of that cut file cut, but what I am going to do is go back and add the letters in. So I'm going to cut the letters, the internal parts of the letters, from the yellow cardstock and have those sitting on top of that card. So now I'm doing the wreath. I had this wreath cut. It didn't cut particularly well from the craft cardstock. It is tiny again, and I think my machine struggled a little bit. It ripped in a few places. But actually it was really savable. I just stuck it back together, and also cut an outline in pink of that cut file too, an offset. And then I was able to stick the craft wreath onto the pink one, so that was lovely. Now I have this little pumpkin here. I've cut the outline in pink, and I've cut it actually I've done them in a few different colours. So I've cut 2 pages that are the outline only and offset in the yellow cardstock, and then I have various colourful outlines. Outline is the wrong word. Okay, so I've cut, the pages are an offset and the outline details are the normal cut file. So I've cut those in different colours. So I have 2 cut in orange pattern paper and 2 cut in pink. Actually I did cut 4 in pink initially, so I've got 2 spares now because I only need 2 pink ones. So I now end up with these 2 pumpkins that are decorated or have outlines front and back. And then I'm planning to sew them together on the left hand side to create a small little book that I can open to reveal photos inside. So just going to do that on my sewing machine. I'm not sure if I do it now or if I come back to that later. I wonder what I'm doing. I'm just not doing very much at the moment. Oh, I know what I was doing. I was looking for my trimmer. My scoring tool, this one here, had gone missing. I didn't know where it was, so I ended up having to borrow someone else's because I was away with friends when I was making this album. So that's why I was a bit delayed there. Thank you, Steph or Wendy, for lending me your trimmer. Mine did turn up. I put it inside something. Honestly, what am I like? Anyway, there is my little pumpkin card that opens up to reveal more photos, or it will do. And then I'm going to add the wreath to the back of that cut file. The pocket, the waterfall pocket. And now I have to figure out what I'm going to do for one of the other pockets. I don't know if it's the final one or if it's the other one. I think I've gone through most of them already. So anyway, I made myself a little book. So I've gone for journaling cards, and I'm just going to attach it together with washi tape. However, I decided when I was actually adding my photos that was too boring, and it wasn't exciting enough, wasn't interactive enough or cute enough. So even though right now I'm making this little book with hinging together with journaling cards and washi tape, making it out of journaling cards, in the end I decided that it just wasn't good enough. So I ditched it and I created another envelope. So the same envelope that I made for the beginning that had the shaker pocket at the top, I've just made exactly the same envelope but without the shaker pocket. So the envelope for the final card in this mini album actually closes, it folds closed, and you open it up and there's something else inside. So that was the final card that I made. So you can actually completely ignore what I'm doing right now, unless you ever wanted to make yourself a little book like this, which could have been fine, but it just wasn't very exciting considering everything else in the album was super duper cute. This one just wasn't good enough for me. But not to say that it couldn't have been if I'd put a bit more effort in and made it more interactive or more pretty, but I just wasn't inspired by it. When I came to decorate it and put the photos in, I was like, this is a bit boring, so I'm gonna do something else. So I'm glad I did, because I love my little envelope that I made for the bag. Right guys, I'm pretty much finished now, and I'm now going to go into a flip through of the completed album with all of my photos in as well. So yeah, I'll be here just a second with that. Okay, so here is a flip through of my mini, not so mini, pick your own album. So I have pumpkin on the front and the back, and I have concertina in the middle, and then there's one piece that goes around there, and there to hold the concertinas together. Then each pocket has a divider in between, and I did actually stitch those in place because I was worried that they were going to come apart. So that's the little box, and then we have a look at all of the cards. So here is the first one, cut file on the front, and a little photo flip out there. The next one is an envelope. It has shakers in the shaker sequins at the top there, and then this. Okay. Some extra photos there, and decorated on the back as well. And third one is a little pumpkin cut file that opens out. And next I have a little tag book with a little bead and tags that are all stitched. Then I have this little envelope that is just made of 4 circles. It's decorated on the back as well, and that opens up to reveal a little journaling card, and then some photos. So I have one photo there, and then one here on a tag, and one on the back. And this one here, which is a little waterfall pocket, and that photo comes out. That one as well, which has got journaling on. This one is a cut file, exclusive cut file, and then just have a photo on the back. And finally, we have this little envelope decorated on the back, and inside contains this little journaling card here with a photo, and this tag again with a photo. And that's it, all complete. One super cute little accordion pumpkin pick your own mini book. Okay, so I hope you really enjoyed that mini album and that flip through. Here are a few close-up detail shots of the album and the internal pieces, cards, envelopes, etc. So you can see those all there. Okay, don't forget that if you are a Hip Kit Club subscriber, you get the main kit at a reduced price, you get 15% discount off all add-on kits, and you get access to exclusive subscriber cut files like the ones that I have used today. Yeah, so I hope you've enjoyed this mini album. It's my favourite one to date. Yeah, check out the October kits. Thank you so much. That was Nikki Rowland for Hip Kit Club.